Hello and welcome to the Mailbox Rogues Gallery. My name's Sean.
And my name's Burch.
And if you listened to us last episode, you'll know that we kind of shamefacedly escaped Rome in one of Leonardo da Vinci's flying contraptions, a kind of aerial screw that he invented. We found a nice replica in a Da Vinci museum and we managed to fly away on it. And, well, we're still in the air, as you might be able to tell.
Yep, airborne and fancy-free up here with the birds. Getting shat on occasionally, which isn't ideal.
No, and also this is a pedal-powered device, and my legs are getting quite tired.
Oh, I am exhausted. I mean, I think I can see our destination up ahead, so shouldn't be too much pedalling anyway.
No, we've only stopped the once. We sat down for a little while in Geneva, in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And we're on our way to Paris. In fact, I think we're pretty much over Paris now, aren't we?
Yes, we certainly are. We're here in Gay Paris, as they call it. I can even see the Eiffel Tower up ahead.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower.
Me too. And, I mean, being sat in this Da Vinci flying machine is just an added bonus.
I can say most people do not get to see the Eiffel Tower from this particular vantage point. Usually you're kind of stood, well, most places in Paris you can see it, so that's one way of seeing it. You can also be on it, but very rarely do you get to fly towards it in a Renaissance era flying machine.
No, very rarely, so we should savour this moment.
Yeah. And we're of course making our way back to the UK. We've kind of been stranded in Europe for a little while now. We've been doing odd jobs to try and get our way back home. Birch wanted to stop off here in Disneyland Paris, so that's why we sort of made our way here, and then I guess we can just like get the train home from here. But while we're here, yeah, let's enjoy the sights and sounds of Paris. Why don't we kind of fly in for a closer look at the Eiffel Tower there?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Oh, yeah, don't fly too close to it.
No, come on, we can get a little bit closer. I mean, look, I tell you what, how many people get to put their hand out and touch it?
Yeah.
Should we try and do that?
You're going at quite a speed now. It's like we're charging right for it. I'm not really...
Yeah, look, what's the worst that could happen?
Well, the worst that could happen is we crash.
Well, look, as long as there isn't a big breeze that comes and pushes us from behind into the Eiffel Tower, I think we'll be all right.
All right, if you say so. Go on then, try and steer it over. I
mean, I'll be honest, this thing isn't particularly easy to steer. Usually,
well, it was never made for flight. This is a museum replica.
No, that's true. It's a miracle we made it this far, to be honest.
Oh my god.
Oh,
right, it's feeling a bit rickety now.
Yeah, no, the wind has caught us. Yeah.
You bastard! Why did I agree to this?
Right, pedal backwards.
You pedal back. Oh, shit! Ah! No! Oh my god! Are you all right?
Oh, jeez. I don't think anything's broken. Oh, how about you?
Well, something's broken. The fucking flying machine's broken.
Yeah, we crashed the flying machine into the Eiffel Tower, didn't we? And I tell you what, egg on my face. You did warn me.
We can't have a nice, normal holiday or visit somewhere, can we? Something always has to inevitably go tits up. Like in this instance, where we're clinging to the top of the fucking Eiffel Tower.
Don't worry, look, I'm sure a nice Parisian policeman will be along any minute to help us out.
Well, I hope so, because I'm not being funny. I mean, I don't want to diss the place just as we've got it here, but I mean, you know, for a famous landmark, this thing feels very, very unsteady.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be more handholds. Maybe we should just fill the listeners in. We are actually now clinging to the top of the Eiffel Tower. It's swaying in the wind, more than you'd hope, I would say. It doesn't feel very safe. The flying machine, that's splintered to pieces and just fallen to the ground. So yeah, we're kind of just stuck on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something, like up close, it's an ugly looking monument, isn't it?
Oh, hideous. I mean, I'm sure of the time it looked very modern.
Grey and rusty and drab. Horrid.
Yeah, hopefully, as I say, a nice policeman with a ladder comes along soon. I'm sure they'd take exception to us being up here, to be honest. I'm sure they'd probably want us down.
I guess. I mean, I would hope stuff like this happens all the time here.
You would hope? Why would you hope that?
Because then they'd know how to help.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it would be terrible if this is the first time this has ever happened and they don't have any measures to get us down.
For that reason, and also because it would be very embarrassing.
I mean, wouldn't you, though, want to be known as the first people to have crashed into the top of the Eiffel Tower? Wouldn't that be a nice Have your name in the history books. We could put that in the Mailbox Rogues Gallery Museum.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, crashing into it. If you're going to crash into something, you want to do some damage.
Whoa! Just think about what you're saying now, my friend.
No, look. All I'm saying is, you said if we're going to be put in the history books, right, for crashing into this, clinging onto this thing like a pair of numpties, you know, I'm just thinking of my pride.
Right, yeah, okay. Well, I'm thinking of another famous world event where somebody crashed into a world landmark and did a bit more damage than we just did.
All right. Nothing's springing to mind.
No, I'll tell you about it sometime. Not now, though. I'll tell you about it another time.
Well, while we're up here, what the hell are we going to do?
Do you know, I've been doing a bit of reading about Marie Curie. She was a Parisian citizen.
Yes, she was. That's quite true.
Do you want to do an episode about her?
Well, I mean, we're not doing much else, so I guess we could.
I mean, it'll take your mind off the drop beneath you.
Yeah, oh, I'm not going to look down again.
No,
yeah, you're quite right. Okay, yeah, anything to keep my mind off this height. Okay, so, Marie Curie, what do we know about her?
So she was, of course, a physicist and a chemist, and she conducted pioneering research on radioactivity, and she was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. She was the first person and the only woman to win the Nobel Prize twice, and the only person to win the Nobel Prize in 2 scientific fields.
Quite an achievement, some might say.
Do you know anything about her childhood? She was born in Warsaw, and she was Polish in a time where it was part of the Kingdom of Russia, though. Polish people were not encouraged to be very well educated at that time by their Russian rulers. She actually studied in the underground flying university, it was called, which was basically, an underground system of education that was outlawed by the Russians. And then she moved to Paris to continue her studies.
Yeah, well, I mean, study in Poland around this time for women, like going on to further education, was sort of frowned upon. Basically, women weren't going into university during this time, and she even went to one of these universities and said she wanted to be admitted, and the university professor was there like, oh yeah, you can join this university when women fly. And so then she joined the flying university so that she could say, yeah, I'll fucking show you. I'll learn to fly, and then I'll fly back to you and say, how about now then, you twat?
Now, just a little peek into your mind here for the listener. How much of that did you make up based on you heard the term flying university?
I mean, what else would flying university be?
No, you've got a good point. You've got a good point.
Why would they call it a flying university if that's not what they were doing?
No, I'm sorry I challenged it. She was flying around.
Yep,
in the university. Yeah,
she learnt to fly. Okay, I'm talking about like not in a machine either. She could fly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, no, she was a very accomplished woman. If anybody could, it would have been her or Amelia Earhart.
And that stick in the mud man. He was there at the university, and then like he was on the top floor teaching these students. All of a sudden, heard like a knock at the window. He's like, "What in the hell is that?" He opens the window. She flies in like Peter Pan. Says, "How about now?" And he goes, "Wah!" All the young students there just like start clapping. It's like, yeah, you go, girl.
Superb. Just another way that she was a pioneer of her time.
Definitely.
Eventually, she flew over to Paris. It's funny, we flew into Paris. She probably flew into Paris as well because, as you've established, she could fly.
Yeah.
She flew over to Paris and married Pierre Curie. She was here to continue her studies. She married Pierre Curie, and with one another, they won the 1903 Nobel Prize for Physics, and that was for their pioneering work in developing the theory of radioactivity, which was a term she coined.
Yep, that's right. She did coin that term. Very important that we mention Pierre, because I mean, when they met in 1894, you know, they had like a shared mutual interest in natural sciences. Like usually it's like, oh yeah, you wearing that Joy Division t-shirt? Oh, that's cool. I like them as well. It's like, oh, what's that book you're reading? Oh yeah, cool. I like Dan Brown as well. That's great. But you know, a mutual interest of natural sciences. How do you strike up a conversation there?
Obviously made for each other.
I guess so. Maybe like how you get people wearing band t-shirts, like, and you sometimes get those kind of like condescending people just like, "Oh, you're a fan of Joy Division, then, are you? Yeah, maybe name 3 of their songs then." Maybe she was like wearing periodic table T-shirt, and you had like all these, these stuffy guys there just kind of like talking to us. Oh yeah, you're a fan of the periodic table, are you? Go on, name 5 elements then. But maybe he was different.
Yeah, I mean, also as well, I'm picturing her wearing a periodic table T-shirt, because it would have been half empty at that point, basically, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess it would have been.
All these gaps on the table, like all these squares. They're like, oh, I can't wait to find out what goes in there. It'd be like opening an advent calendar, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I mean, like, and the marketers of the T-shirt around this time, because this is obviously a T-shirt that was made back then. It would have been, yeah, like you say, quite a marketing thing. You could buy a new T-shirt every year, like a new updated version of it. It's just like the new fall line of this T-shirt. We've got an extra added 2 elements. It's like, oh my god, what are they going to be? It's like, oh, gotta wait and see.
It'd be like buying the Guinness Book of World Records every year. It's like, oh, what's happened? What have we got that's new?
Is anyone fatter? Is anyone taller? Is anyone older? I need to know.
Has the world's fastest land mammal, has it changed?
Has the tortoise just all of a sudden gone, I can't stand him, or being called the slowest. Is just not happy with this. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
And something else takes its place. That is now the second slowest.
See, I was in the Guinness Book of World Records. Now, I don't know if I'm still there.
Oh.
I took part in an event at a festival, which was, I don't know if it was breaking the record so much as setting the record for the world's largest spoon ensemble. So there were hundreds of us in this giant marquee, and they were handing out 2 spoons each. And you know how, like, back in, I don't even know when, but back in the old days, you'd sort of get 2 spoons between your fingers, and you sort of clatter them between your knee and your hand.
Pass the time for hours doing that.
Yeah, make a lovely, soothing, clattering noise. And they got a band up, and they played Knees Up Mother Brown. Again, very of the sort of time period of when playing the spoons was most popular. And we sort of clattered along to Knees Up Mother Brown. You can't imagine the noise of all these hundreds and hundreds of spoons clattering against each other. And we broke or set the world record for the world's largest spoon ensemble. As far as I know, not been broken.
That is incredible. And I've got to take this moment just to say I am also in the Guinness World Records.
Yeah? What did you do?
Mine, funnily enough, was also spoon related. Mine was the most spoons bent in half in the shortest amount of time.
And how many spoons? And in what time?
Well, it must have been the same event. I think it was after your Guinness World Record event, when you finished playing like Knees Up Mother Brown. Like, you had all these people, when they were done with the spoons, they just chucked them on the ground. Like, such a waste of spoons. So you had this big empty field just with all these spoons just lying there. Must have been, what, like 10,000 spoons, something like that at your event?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I said, look, yeah, I could bend all these spoons in like no time at all. And the Guinness people were like, well...
I mean, they were still hanging around, obviously, enjoying the festival.
Exactly, yeah, they were there. And they were like, okay, yeah, so, well, sure, yeah, we're here. May as well do it. And they were like, funnily enough, this record hasn't been set yet. So, like, really, however many spoons you can do, you'll end up in the book.
Even 4 or 5.
Exactly, yeah. But, that wasn't enough for me. So I wanted to do a good job. So I basically called up my mate Yuri Geller, and I said to him, like, hey, you right, Yuri? And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right, Burch, how's it going? He's like, yeah, not bad. Look, I need help here. I need to bend as many spoons as I can, like, in a short period of time. And he's like, oh, Guinness? And I was like, yeah, how'd you guess, mate? He's like, oh, it's just, yeah, I'm almost psychic, you could say. And we had a good laugh, the pair of us.
See, I'm surprised that, A, he hadn't already set the record, and B, that he would be willing to help you set the record when you'd think he'd want to be the world's most famous spoon-bending proponent.
Yeah, well, I mean...
You're obviously very close for him to support you in that way.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Yuri Geller is he doesn't like unnecessary attention. He's not one of those people that's just kind of like clawing for fame like that.
No, he's sort of the retiring type, isn't he?
But so I asked him, I said, look, how am I gonna do this? I was like, I've seen you do it like with spoons in your hand, but how am I gonna kind of like bend a whole field of spoons? And he said, look, I've got an idea. I will channel something to come and help you to bend these. I was like, what do you mean channel something? He's like, don't you worry about that. No, I'll bring some kind of psychic force to help you bend these spoons.
Wow.
So I was like, blimey, well, cheers, Yuri. That's good of you. So I'm there, like, getting psyched up and ready. I was like, right, okay, got to help Yuri channel this energy to help bend these spoons. So the Guinness people are stood there. They're like, okay, so whenever you're ready, when you like bend the first spoon, we'll start the clock.
Yeah, they've always got a stopwatch handy, those people.
I pick up the first spoon and I bend it in half.
Now, are you using psychic energy for this, or are you just using the strength of your arms? Because spoons are quite easily bendable, to be honest.
I'm using my hands.
Right, so you just got you got a hand on each end, and you just bend it in half. Yeah.
Yeah, and bending it in half like that. I'm assuming that Yuri's gonna kind of come in to save the day and like bend some of the other spoons at this point. I don't quite know how it works.
I mean, it sort of seems like you're doing all right on your own without the psychic powers, to be honest. Because as I say, they're quite bendable.
Yeah, but I want this to be like done really quickly, like a whole field just like done in an instant.
Yeah, 10,000 spoons as you've established.
So I bend the first one, then they're like, okay, start the clock. I look around, can't feel any energy. Okay, I bend the second spoon, third spoon, fourth spoon, can't feel anything, can't see anything.
But you have faith in your heart that Yuri will be there to help you.
Yeah, absolutely, that's right, yeah. Because he's promised me, and he's a man of his word, Yuri Geller. And so I'm bending these spoons, one after the other. I do 100, 200, 500, 1,000, I'm going on and on and on. So 4 days passes, and I get to the 10,000th spoon, and I look over, and they're asleep. I nudge them, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, stop the clock. So, right, okay, you've done that in 4 days. They were like, I'm going to be honest, mate, we kind of, when you said that you were going to do this in no time at all, we kind of thought you'd be a little bit more sharpish than taking 4 days to bend 10,000 spoons. Now, he said, and I say this as one of the people behind the Guinness World Records, right? This world record is absolute shit, mate. We've put some shit in our books, but I'm telling you now, this isn't impressive, this isn't useful. It does absolutely nothing for anyone. People are going to look at this in the book. They're not going to go, oh, wow, he bent 10,000 spoons in 4 days. They're going to say, oh, look, this fucking idiot spent 4 days of his life bending 10,000 spoons in a muddy field. And they were like, is it even worth putting it in the book? And I was like, well, I've done it now, so, if you could. They're like, all right, fine, we'll have to put it on the back page or something. They're like, fucking hell, this is absolutely... We'll put any old shit in this book, honestly. They walked off. I called Yuri. I was furious. You could say I was furious. And I called him up, and he was like, hey, you right? Yeah, hey, you right? Burch, how's it going, mate? I was like, did you forget something? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we had a deal, remember? You were going to help me get this Guinness World Record. I've just spent 4 fucking days in a field bending 10,000 spoons in half. I look like a right twat. People are going to look at this Guinness World Record book and think I'm some kind of joke. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? I helped you. I was like, you definitely didn't. I literally walked around and physically bent all of the spoons. And he was like, oh no. Oh, right, I've got to go. And then he just hangs up the phone. I'm like, what? What the hell was all that about?
See, so I'm interested to hear the rest of the story, but I thought it was going to be that he said to you, well, it turns out that you didn't need my psychic help. Just by thinking I was helping, that gave you the confidence and determination to do what you could already do. I thought that was going to be the message of the story.
No, absolutely not. I found out later that day, right, it turns out that he did use his psychic abilities to bend spoons, right? Just not the spoons that I was hoping. He ended up bending all of these spoons in a fucking cutlery factory in Reading.
Oh no, wait. So, did somebody else get the world record?
Well, I guess technically Yuri Geller does, but what happened was it was in this cutlery factory. You had this conveyor belt of all these spoons going along, right, going through the machines, making sure they were okay to sell. All of a sudden, right? And I've seen the security footage of it. It's like something out of a fucking horror film. All of a sudden, these spoons jump up in the air, bending in half. All the people working there are terrified. Oh, what's going on? Spoons hitting people, spoons going into gears, breaking down machines.
Sort of like a spoony Fantasia.
Absolutely. And, you know, people were blinded, people were injured from spoons flying around everywhere. The factory had to close down. And I mean, what can you do? I had to keep stum.
Wow, sworn to secrecy until now.
And, oh yeah. Oh, well, the statute of limitations on spoon bending is gone now, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure it's a short statute of limitations anyway, to be honest.
I would imagine so, yes. Yeah.
Spoon bending incidents. Fuck, well, what a strange story. It beggars belief. It's almost too difficult to believe, that story. But, you know, if I wasn't stranded at the top of the Eiffel Tower, having been put here by a flying machine designed and built by Leonardo da Vinci in the 1400s, I wouldn't believe it. But, you know, it's not the strangest thing I've heard today. So it's quite a coincidence, really, that we're talking about Marie Curie, because I actually, when we stopped in Geneva, I actually managed to pick up a few materials for scientific study.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. What sort of stuff did you get? Like a Bunsen burner or anything like that?
No. Radioactive materials.
What? We've been flying around for the past few days with radioactive materials on the thing.
Yeah, I got a really good deal. I got some radium, I got some uranium, I got some polonium, I got some plutonium.
For what purpose?
Well, you know, I was superpowers. I wanted to give us superpowers.
Superpower? Oh my god. I mean, what do you mean you want superpowers?
You know, like the Incredible Hulk.
He's not all that.
He's incredible. Haven't you heard?
I mean, well, yeah, it's in the name, but I mean, like, come on. I mean, we're pretty incredible as well with the stuff we do, and we're not superheroes. You know, we're flying about in machines. We're kind of like going country to country. We're doing death-defying stunts, getting into all sorts of scrapes and japes, and we don't have superpowers.
Well, look, you know, maybe it was a sort of a confidence thing, and maybe if you'd given me the speech beforehand, I wouldn't have needed the superpowers. But yeah, I thought, what have I got to lose? You know, I just I made a swap with this Swiss gentleman that I met in Geneva. Just swapped him something for the radioactive materials.
Something.
All right. Well, you know that stopped pocket watch that you've been carrying around that whole time I've known you. You know the one it's got your great grandfather's initials engraved into it.
Yeah, that priceless treasured family possession. That's right.
Yeah, you know, it had the dent where the World War I bullet hit it and ricocheted off and saved his life. You know the one that your great grandfather snuck behind enemy lines to recover because it was a gift from your great grandmother.
Yeah. I know the one. I carry it around with me. Yeah.
You know, and your father handed it down to you, and he gave it to you on your 18th birthday. You know, he told you, look, you're a man now. Never let this out of your possession, because it's a physical link to those who came before you and fought so that you might live in a world of...
Okay, get to the point.
Yeah, I swapped that for some radioactive materials.
Oh, Sean. Was that your plan all along? You told me we were going there for a toilet break.
Well, I did...
I thought you were gone a very long time.
We had flown over the Alps, so I did need a toilet break. It was dual purposes.
What would he want with that watch?
Well, it was very valuable. I mean, you know, only sentimentally, not monetarily.
Yeah, but it's my sentiment. It's not his sentiment. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. And what was he doing with these
Best not think about it. I mean, in terms of superpowers, you know, I was hoping for like flying, telepathy, invisibility, mind control, anything like that.
Well, I mean, I guess while we're here, flying, if you can get it, would be useful.
Yeah. I mean, as you previously established, Marie Curie could fly, and that was before she had the radiation. Well,
there you go. See, she always had it in her. So maybe that's just like a sign that we don't need... The superhumanness is in all of us.
Oh, again, I mean, if we'd shared these wonderful sentiments beforehand, maybe I wouldn't have felt the need to go out and get these radioactive materials.
Right, and how does it work exactly? You gonna eat it? Are you gonna inject it? Are you gonna have a radioactive suppository? What's the plan here?
I'm trying a few things. I've eaten bits of it, which wasn't easy. I sort of shaved it with like a cheese grater into my porridge. That was the plutonium.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I'm doing a lot of fessing up here, but I've also slipped some of it into your pocket.
Into my pocket?
Well, I thought if I could give your hips some radioactivity, like I wanted to basically inject some life into those hips, in time for our next salsa class.
Sean, you're always doing these things behind my back.
Well,
and behind my hips. you need to tell me if you want these things.
Well, I know that last time we were doing our salsa class, you were just a bit embarrassed, and you've got the soul and the passion of an amazing Latin dancer, but you just can't get your hips to work. And I just thought if I could maybe give them a bit of a boost, you'd finally realise your full potential.
Sean, the reason I was embarrassed is because on the first day that we got there, you pushed me up to the front of the class and you were like, everyone take a look at this twat, he's got 2 left feet. Honestly, watch him. Like, what am I meant to do then? Of course I'm going to fail. Everyone was laughing. And then you started like jeering and shouting, the only salsa he's ever had is a fucking food buffet. Everyone starts laughing.
Yeah, I admit that didn't really help the situation. No, I just thought maybe if I could, like I say, inject a bit of life into those hips, get you jiggling and wiggling on the dance floor, you'd be a happier man for it.
Maybe. I mean, that might not even be what happens. I might end up, I don't know, some kind of mutant.
I suppose you being a male and all, it is sort of quite close to your how do I delicately put this? Your genetic package.
This is just, I thought it was bad enough being stuck at the top of the Eiffel Tower, and now you're telling me this? It's not good to hear.
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised you didn't notice, because plutonium is the heaviest known element and material. I mean, the fact that I slipped it into your pocket and you didn't notice.
Well, maybe, Sean. I assumed it was my great-grandfather's watch still in my pocket that hadn't yet been pilfered.
Yeah, it was a good switcheroo, that really, wasn't it? Yeah. But, are you feeling any effects so far? Any desire to dance?
I mean, my hips sort of feel a bit numb.
Oh, well, that's the opposite of what I wanted. I wanted life, passion, energy.
Yeah, it just feels sort of dead.
Oh, no. That's not good. I mean, as for me, no superpowers so far. I mean, unless you count, dizziness, fatigue, nosebleeds as superpowers.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, no. I mean, I haven't checked, but I mean, I did already have one superpower before I took the radiation. I've never had an ice cream headache. That's my superpower.
Have you ever had an ice cream, though?
No, that is a good question. Most people don't follow up with that question. Yeah, I've had ice cream before. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but just last episode we were working in a gelato kiosk.
Oh, we live such a fast-paced, madcap life. I can't keep track of all the jobs and things that we do.
I know, all of our adventures. I don't know, you might have forgotten as well, but last episode we also lost you a hand.
Well, actually, that's one thing that I haven't forgotten, Sean. That's something that I'm very often reminded of when I look at the end of my left arm.
Yeah, and I suppose you're probably still in that phase where you're sort of reaching out for things with it. I mean, certainly it would help you in this situation where you're clinging to the side of the Eiffel Tower.
I was going to say, yeah, clinging, hands are very useful for clinging, and so I'm certainly missing it now.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But what about you? Any?
Wait, I just realised. Do you have any more of that radioactive material? Instead of putting it on my hips, why didn't you put it on my stub?
Oh, grow you a new hand. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Let's give it a go. Look. I've got some polonium, which, I'll just throw in a quick fact here, was actually discovered and named by Marie Curie, and of course named polonium after her native Poland. Anyway, why don't you give this... why don't you rub this on your nub?
I will. Give it here.
How's that going for you? I mean, I can see it's glowing a bit, but anything else?
Not really. Oh, God, that's weird. It's sort of... Oh, my God, something's growing.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God, I'm going to get my hand back. Come on, here we go. Give me a hand. Oh, no.
Oh, what's that? Wait, what is that? Birch, what is on the end of your arm?
What does it look like? It's a giant finger.
It's got the fingernail and everything, and the knuckles.
I couldn't have just grown a nice, normal hand. I had to grow a giant index finger on the end of my arm.
Can you move it? Can you wiggle? Give it a wiggle.
Yeah, it works like a normal finger, but I mean, I'm missing another 4.
Yeah. Right, well, I just gave you the polonium, didn't I?
Yeah.
And the plutonium was in your pocket. Maybe if I chuck you over some of this uranium and radium as well, some of that, it might get a couple more extra fingers. You kind of need at least 3 to have what you could call a functioning hand.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to dick around with it any more than I already have.
No, I can see your hesitancy. I understand that. What can you do with that finger? You can...
Well, I mean, I can sort of cling on again now. I mean, I just wrapped my finger around the Eiffel Tower and I'm sort of holding on a bit.
Yeah, it's quite long, isn't it, that finger? Because a normal finger, I don't know, would be sort of like 2 or 3 inches, but that's about 10 inches long, I can see from here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a giant finger.
Do you know what I think's happened? It is 4 fingers, but in one long one.
Right, the power of a hand in one finger.
Good for clinging. I don't know how good your typing will be.
No, I'd need a very big keyboard, wouldn't I?
Oh, dear.
Well, that's depressing, but enough about me. How are you feeling?
Yeah, like I say, I mean, the dizziness, the fatigue. I've forgotten the names of most of my favourite dinosaurs, which is a real blow.
Oh.
I can only assume that that's a side effect, because usually I'm quite au fait with them.
We've really got ourselves in a pickle.
We certainly have this time, Birch. Right, well, I don't know how much longer we're going to be stuck up here on the Eiffel Tower. Maybe we'll just wrap up the episode and then see if we can get down.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Well, listeners, thank you for listening to this very concise, comprehensive guide on the life and times of Marie Curie. If you've enjoyed it, then please do let us know. You can contact us. We have an email address, mailboxroguesgallery@gmail.com. We also have social media, like all the cool kids do these days. We've got Twitter @MailboxRogues. We've also got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, where we are Mailbox Rogues Gallery. And we also have a Discord as well.
And of course, you can find us on all of the usual podcasting platforms, your Spotify, your YouTube, your Apple Podcasts, etc. And please give us ratings and reviews on all of those, especially on Apple Podcasts, to help make the podcast grow.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
Grow like my finger on the end of my arm.
Yeah, exactly. This is the image we want to leave people with.
Yes, exactly.
Right, well, hang on. It feels like the wind's really picking up. Can you feel that?
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it in my fingers.
Do you feel it in your toes?
I don't know. They're starting to feel a bit numb as well with the radiation.
Mate, I'm starting to lose my grip a bit. It's getting harder to hold on.
Oh god, you're looking very pale, like you're about to pass out.
Mate, I think I'm gonna drop. I think I'm gonna.
No.
I'm losing it.
No. Oh, no, Sean, quick, pull my finger. Pull my finger.
I've got it. But no, I'm losing it.
Oh my god, Sean.
Sacre bleu!
Oh my god. What the hell happened?
We're alive. What? Where are we? What is this?
Oh my god. I think we've just landed in a giant blank mange.
Do you mean blancmange?
If you like.
What is this gigantic blancmange doing at the foot of the Eiffel Tower? This is gigantic.
Hey, you don't think it's a Guinness World Record, do you?
I mean, why else would they have such a gigantic blancmange at the foot of the Eiffel Tower? It must be a world record attempt.
Oh my god. Hang on a sec.
Oh, are you eating it off that gigantic finger of yours?
Yeah. Oh my god, this blank mange is delicious. Oh, you try a bit.
Yeah.
Taste a bit.
Yeah, scoop me up some.
There you go, look. Have a little bit.
Oh, lovely. God, it's nice. Your finger's quite spoon-like, really, in a way.
Yeah, it is actually, yeah. You know, maybe it's not so bad after all, having a giant index finger where your hand should be.
And I'd say as well, with it being spoon-like and us being in a Guinness World Record attempt for the world's largest blancmange, doesn't that neatly wrap up all of the themes of today's episode?
I think it does, but, you know, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm pretty fed up of our travels around Europe. I just want to go home.
Yeah, back to Blighty?
Back to Blighty, I quite agree.
Alright, well, I'm sure we'll be back by next episode. Why don't we talk about a classic British icon? Why don't we, celebrate our return to Britain with an icon of our nation, Queen Victoria, for example.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect episode. Get rid of the blank mange, get some Victoria sponge, sit and talk about the Queen. Just have a nice British time, mate.
Right, sounds good. Okay, well, we'll head off soon. For now, I'm just going to enjoy a little bit more of a swim in this blancmange, though, before we go, because it's tasty and it's fun.
I quite agree. Let's see who can hold our breath the longest.
All right, here we go. Goodbye, listeners.
See ya!